anytime I sit down with clients, doing what I do, I ask, like, my first question to people is, what is your most valuable asset? And 99% of the people get it wrong because they say, well, my car, I pay it off, or my house is worth 200,000, because they don't really understand that your most valuable asset is is you.
Mm.
The most important thing to protect is you, your ability to earn income.
So Al, man, recently we had a conversation where you were talking about how a lot of black people aren't really educated on wealth preservation, and I mean, you really, what I'm saying, dropped some key points in that, and we were having that conversation earlier, man. Um, can you elaborate on wealth preservation, and can you define what it is for people that don't really know what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when we talk about wealth, we talk about sustaining your assets, or accumulating a certain amount of assets to prolong, whether it be income, or prolong your lifestyle, or to leave certain set of assets to the generations that comes to follow you. So when we talk about wealth preservation, I mean, just kind of put the words together. When you preserve something, that means to take something and make it to last longer. Like, certain foods have preservatives in it to give it a shelf life. Oftentimes in our community, our wealth doesn't necessarily have the longest shelf life. Like, it's real, like organic foods, you know, without all the additives, without the preservatives, they don't last very long. Sometimes, like the dominant society, other cultures, their assets are very inorganic. It's unnatural how long they last, but they have a very good system of They got a lot of preservatives in it. They have checks and balances in order to where, like, the Waltons will never go broke.
Right.
They put so many preservatives in it with just kind of like hedging your bet. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that even if you lose, you got something to back it up. So when we talk about in terms of preservation, it's like what can you instill in, whether it's a lifestyle choice or a habit, like what can you put in place to prolong your wealth or to help you accrue wealth. And that's not something we really think about when it comes to our wealth and our income and our communities and our household. A lot of times it's very reactionary and not too proactive, like we talked about in the last video, where we talked about the responsibility of securing yourself financially and your family. Like, a lot of times when you take the alternate route to entrepreneurship, which is nothing wrong with, you always have a consistent base. But when you get away fully from entrepreneurship, you kind of relinquish that responsibility to somebody else. So as long as you have that job, making 80K, bringing that in, you good. You got them contributing to your 401K, you good. But should that change, now what do? So we talk about a system of wealth preservation in terms of, okay, yeah, I'm working my job now, but not only am I saving for something else, I'm taking a part of what I save, I'm saving extra to put into something that can start also working for me. So if something should happen to this job, I'm not limited in my options in terms of what I can do. Also, wealth preservation just comes along with just making sure that what the things that you have are taken care of in the event that we take away the thing that provides for them. So when I talk about wealth preservation, in terms of your home or your kid's college fund, right? So you are accumulating tangible income to put away for your kids' college fund. Now, say you just putting that in a jar in the backyard. Every time you get paid, you dig up the jar, you put $100 in it, whatever, like that, right? But say I take you away. And when I take you away, I mean I take away your ability to earn income. Anytime I sit down with clients, doing what I do, I ask, like, my first question to people is, what is your most valuable asset? And 99% of the people get it wrong because they say, well, my car, I pay it off, or my house is worth 200,000, because they don't really understand that your most valuable asset is you.
Mm.
The most important thing to protect is you, your ability to earn income. Like, that's you. So if your main means of providing income is you going to work every day, If something in life happens to inhibit you from doing that, how can you preserve your wealth? See what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, if I implement something, or if you get hurt or injured, and it stops you from being able to go dig up that jar and put $100 in there every 2 months, what happened to that kid college fund? It's gonna stop growing.
Right.
There's no means of preserving it. So when I talk about wealth preservation, I talk about just having checks and balances, in your portfolio, in terms of your finances, to be like, okay, I'm at this level, I'm making this much money, and say, you go down to something, you don't want to have to wait average time 6 months for the state to determine you disabled and to start paying you 60 to 70% of your income, because your bills don't change because you become disabled. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then who can go 6 months without earning income? And in a lot of states, to be eligible for these Social Security disability benefits, you have to be, disabled or not working for like 3 to 6 months. A lot of times 6 months in some places. So the government is saying, okay, we're gonna call your bluff. If you're really disabled, you're not gonna be able to go back to work for 6 months. But if you're just trying to get a check, you might hang on for 2 or 3. You're like, okay, I can't play the game no more. I got to get back to work. Like, I don't have 6 months of living income waiting. But people would come, and talk to me. We sit down, entrepreneurs, small business owners, startups. They're like, okay, I'm responsible for my business. I can't go a month without working. If I go a month without working, I have to be down. I need something to kick in and to be able to take care of overhead, take care of my family. And so I assign them with certain products. We get started to where if something happens to them, they can choose whether they want to be down for 7 days and they kick in, or 30 days, or whatever. And so that's just a little means to kind of help preserve your wealth. Because the thing about finances, what we don't truly understand is it's not what you make, it's what you can keep. In our culture, we tend to have a habit of, we need some tangible things now. Because people know, how many times have you sat down with somebody and they're like, I got my retirement figured out. Like, above just our community, most people in the world, most people in America, and look, we have the luxury to look forward to retirement, as opposed to a lot of places in the world. They're just like, if I can make it day by day. But fortunately, we are in a capitalistic society to where, ideally, if you work till you like 55 or 60 years old, you should be able to retire. And the government promotes you being able to provide for yourself. Like, that's why there's a lot of incentives and kickbacks for people who contribute to 401ks. They try not to tax you as much. People who pay for things like long-term care. And so just wealth preservation is just about having things in place to where if mama go down, we have to take her to the nursing home. We got something in place. If daddy gets sick, we got something in place. Should the unthinkable happen, we have something in place. And that things can continue business as usual.